Rusty, it's been a few days since Georgia got its last offensive line commitment. They got another one today. Daniel Calhoun, a mountain of a man, in-state prospect, one that I don't think Georgia was always in phenomenal shape for. There was probably a time earlier in this process where some other teams were in his ear. But how big is this for Georgia to get this in-state cat?
I think Georgia getting that early official visit was key to them. They kind of was able to sit him down and say, look, you're an in-state target for us. This is where we like you. We're going to take multiple guys in this class, and they have so far, and they will in the next couple of days, in my opinion. But you look at Daniel Calhoun. This is a kid they've recruited now for 4 years, and Matt Luke was even in on recruiting this guy early on for Georgia. So when you look at him, making the transition from Centennial over to, but you look at the ability of a guy that 350 pounds to get out on second level, and you see him pulling right there, and it's just violence, just violence, man. And football is about that. But watch him just throw this guy down right here and drive him into the sideline. So I say this a lot, Jake, and people probably get tired of hearing it, but he's a 1 percentile human. There's only a few people like this that have this size, this ability, and to be a high school football player. He's still young. I think he turns 18 in August. So I hate to say this, Jake, but this kid's a baby.
Yeah, 100%. And I remember you talk about those 1% guys. Backing up a couple of percentages there to make it sound real confusing, like I'm good at. I remember Kirby Smart speaking at a Bulldog Club meeting in Macon years and years ago. It might have been his first summer as Georgia's head coach. And he talked about how when they visit high schools, if they see a kid 6'3" or taller, whether they don't care if he's in the band, they don't care if he plays football or not, they try to talk to him. They try to have a conversation with him because, he brings up the fact that so few, it's such a relatively small percentage of the population is that big. And man, when you start talking about 6'6", 360, and he's over there moving like that, I mean, he's not going to play at 360 at Georgia, I don't think. I mean, I doubt it. Georgia's so good at getting players to drop weight with the running program, and they're really good with that. But this is a guy, man, Rusty, I look at him and I hate, it feels like a cop out, right? It feels like you're copping out when you say this, but I sit there and look at a kid like this move at 360 pounds and I say, man, if he loses 35, I don't know what he's capable of. I don't know what he can, I don't know that he can't play any position you want him to play up front.
That's right. Yep. And you get touching back to what you said, when you talk about Kirby Smart in the very first press conference, when he was announced at the University of Georgia, the first thing he says, we got to get bigger on both sides of the ball. Like, he knows where he came from and how much bigger they were every week than teams. Now he's flipped that roster, and obviously we're back-to-back national championships, but he's trying to keep that, and he knows the key to success are these big body guys, ability to move people. And there's only so many, and Georgia's had a couple already. Still not done with this class, but this was a huge target. Had some ties to Alabama through his dad. Texas was all over him. This was a heavyweight battle, with him. But I will say that Georgia, I felt like since that OV privately was the team to beat.
And, there were so many teams I felt like that kind of stuck their head in the door on this recruitment. Miami at one point, I think, was really working hard on him. And it's hard not to love Coral Gables if you get to go down there and see what's going on and see Miami and Mario Cristobal and his history with offensive linemen. Texas seems to be involved with a lot of offensive linemen, and I could probably take a little bit of a dig on kind of how things are happening for Texas right now. It's been kind of tough for them in state, out of state, with Georgia adding Michael Uni several days ago. But getting an in-state kid in a weak in-state class, I mean, would you be willing to say that this kid in this class is kind of the dude in Georgia? I mean, is this the guy you would say?
I would say he's the best fit to play at Georgia.
Yeah.
Just because you got to have size, you got to have physicality. I kind of know his makeup. This kid competes like it. He was one of those kids that played in the Georgia League Classic a couple of times. I had to tell him he couldn't play a third time. He kept coming to MVP camps. He had 25 offers. I said, Daniel, look, bro, I appreciate you, man, and thank you for showing me you want to camp, but you're done camping with me. You're done playing in junior all-star games. Man, you are a national recruit, and you have certainly shown you are, he went to the Under Armour camp this year. He's done it all, and he'll go anywhere to compete. So he's got that mentality. You're not going to be able to. He was coached hard at Centennial. I know his head coach there and did a good job with him. And when his coach left Centennial, I felt like he would end up somewhere, and he ended up at a really good Walton program.
Man, I'm sitting here looking at this video, and it took this photo we're looking at right here, and it took me a minute to realize this cat is palming that helmet.
Yeah,
He is
yeah,
not that helmet's not resting on anything. He is just palming it from the top, and he's got it up there. And it's a big helmet because if it fits on his head, it's a big head because he's a big man. And listen, Georgia has 4 offensive line pledges in the current class. I believe you made reference to this not too long ago. Malachi Tolliver is the runt of the litter at 6'5", 320 something pounds.
yeah.
Marcus Harrison is a Czechoslovakian hitman at 6'8", 340 pounds.
Yeah.
And Michael Looney is 6'7", 335. They got even bigger with this guy. We've talked about the size ad nauseum, but Georgia's going to play the athletes. And we've talked about this on the last time we spoke about our O-line commitment. Losing 4 out of 5 starters, this is another kid that can come in and, you can try him out at, right tackle. You can try him out at left guard. You can try him out at right guard. See if anything's natural, see if it fits. But at worst, and you pointed this out with Uni, too deep. A snap away maybe from getting to the field, and that's Georgia's got to be able to sell that right now.
Yeah, definitely. What they potentially could lose. So I think Daniel Calhoun's going to get a legitimate look at right tackle. If he gets his weight, I would say 15 or 20 down, which I think he can easily do that with an off season at Georgia. I think he's going to get his first look, in my opinion, at a right tackle position. You can cover him up a little bit there with a tight end, but he's such a good run blocker. He's so big, he can bend. And I just know his mentality. Now, it doesn't mean he won't slide down. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, people freak out and start talking about going to guards. Go look at those guards contracts. And they still get a check once a week too during the season. So when you look at all those things being said, I think that this guy's got a lot of potential. And I still say, look, this guy's young, 17 years old. See, last week when I was out at the walk at the Milton camp, and you just look at this dude, and you see how big he is, and just instant just punch. You know what I mean? Heavy-handed again. Here's that comment, and these guys are able to move people. But man, Georgia gloves on last week. Georgia shorts on kind of gave it away, I think.
Yeah, and I tell you what, he's one of those cats too. Like I heard people talk about Isaiah Wilson. He's not quite as tall as Isaiah Wilson, but when you've got a human that's that giant, you may get him beat, but you still got to run around them. You still got to, even if you get their hands down, you got to figure out a way to run around them, and that's tough to do. We always talk about Orlando Brown as another guy that kind of illustrated that. Listen, we've talked about these next 2 commitments Georgia's got coming in terms of decisions. I don't know if they're actually going to commit to Georgia or not. Can't be sure. This is recruiting. I think you said recently it's a wonder we get anything right anymore. But Georgia has a couple more decisions that could go their way here in the near future, and that is Nair Daniels, the biggest of them all at 6'8", 370 pounds. And Marquise Easley, 6'5", 6'6", 330 pounds. So those 2 decisions are coming up here in the next few days. Daniels goes on the 7th, Easley on the 8th, and we'll have you covered over at DawgsHQ. See y'all later.